Mushrooms for your brain. You're thinking, oh my gosh, he's finally lost it. He's going off the deep end. He's talking about edible mushrooms now. Not the case. I'm talking about specific health benefits as are related to your mental health and as are related to cognitive function pertaining to the use of specific over-the-counter edible mushrooms and even some coffees and teas. You see, by the year 2050, we're going to have 80 to 90 million people that are over the age of 65. Now, that means we're going to have a lot more instances of Alzheimer's, a lot more instances of dementia, but let's not just talk about the future, let's talk about the present. How can we benefit from good nerve health and brain health now? Well, obviously, we're going to feel better. Obviously, we're going to have more energy. Obviously, we're going to have more brain cells that allow us to think more and retain more information. And honestly, it doesn't matter what level you are in any career. Having good brain health and clarity is critical to success in any other aspect of your life. So how exactly do we do that? How do we preserve our brain health? How do we get the most out of our brain? Well, first we have to understand something called NRF. And what NRF is a nerve growth factor or a regenerative factor. See, our nerve cells, our brain cells, they're always kind of dying off. And sometimes oxidative stressors make them die faster. And a lot of times they don't regenerate. They don't regrow. We don't spawn new ones. So actually preserving that NRF and making sure that our brain is functioning well and making sure that our nervous system is functioning well can not only help maintain cells and keep them alive longer, but it can actually help us produce new ones that can take us to new heights. That means we are not going to be stagnant at the level of brain health that we think we're at now. We can extend further, feel smarter, feel more alive, have better memory, and be able to articulate what we want to articulate that much better. So that's where we get into the 2,000 different species of edible mushrooms. That's 2,000 out of a grand total of 14,000. So at the end of the day, I'm not saying that you go hike up into your local woods and try to find any old mushroom. I definitely advise against that. I'm talking about specific scientifically backed studies that have taken a look at these particular edible mushrooms and seen them as viable medicinal sources. Now, a lot of these mushrooms have been used as indigenous medications for hundreds and hundreds of years. But only recently are we starting to see the benefits as they pertain to brain and nerve health. For so long, these particular edible mushrooms have been looked at as anti-cancer drugs or anti-cancer mushrooms, or possibly anti-inflammatories, or even for gastrointestinal health. But only in the last few years has research really been conducted in terms of how they can help your overall brain production and your brain cell health. So let's look at two in particular. And the first one that I want to talk about is probably one of the most popular edible mushroom extracts that you can get. You can generally find it online, you can find it at your local store, you might even be able to find it at Whole Foods or a typical grocery store. So it's not something crazy exotic. And that is called lion's mane. Lion's mane extract is one of the most popular overall. Now, lion's mane has been used medicinally across the board for a long period of time. But much like a lot of these other edible mushrooms, only recently has the science been truly backing up the mental side of these and the mental benefit that you get of it. So I'm going to talk about some studies in particular because you know me, I don't really like to put anything out there that doesn't at least have some science to back it up. Again, I'm not a doctor. You can't literally take every single word that I say for it, so I try to back it up with some research. So let's look at this one particular study out of Japan. This particular study out of Japan took participants that were between 60 and 80 years of age. Now, these participants were known to have some level of cognitive impairment. Maybe it was Alzheimer's, maybe it was dementia, maybe it was something else. But either way, they were on the cognitive decline. Well, what they did is they had them supplement with 250 milligrams of lion's mane extract for an extended period of time. And you know what was astonishing? Was the result in terms of their cognitive function was linearly related with how long they took the extract. What that means is that for the longer the period of time they took the extract, the more compounded the benefit was. And when you think about nerve cell death and you think about nerve cell regeneration, it makes sense. So now they're stopping the die-off of specific nerves and they're increasing the regeneration. So it's gonna compound and they're going to get more cognitive function out of it. That's just one study that really proved the fact there. But another one that might sound a little bit more like Greek to you is one that regards the endoplasm. Now, the endoplasm is a series of membranes that are around certain cells, not all cells. Now, what this one study looked at was the fact that oxidative stress would normally break down part of that endoplasm, eventually killing the cell. So in this particular case, what is called the endoplasmic reticulum stress-induced oxidative cell death did not take place whenever lion's mane extract was in the picture. That is some pretty phenomenal research right then and there. But let's not end at lion's mane. Let's talk about another one. Let's talk about something called the chaga mushroom. Now, originally, the chaga mushroom was used for gastrointestinal benefits. It was used to help treat nausea. It was used to help treat diarrhea and general stomach upset. But again, just like these others, more recently, we've been looking at how it can affect your brain health. Now, with chaga, it's more related to the DNA. Now, how does DNA play a part in our overall brain health? Well, when cells reproduce, they rely on our DNA to structure properly. So if we have an alteration in DNA, then that means the cells may produce abnormally, or they may not reproduce at all. Now, one study took a look at cells individually, and they exposed those cells to some chaga extract first, and then exposed them to oxidative stress artificially. Now, ordinarily, you would find that cells would have a massive die-off or a massive alteration in DNA structure. But what was found was when first exposed to chaga, that was reduced by 40%. They had a 40% reduction in the DNA alteration that would ordinarily occur. This means that your DNA can stay intact and stay structured the way it should if you are consistently taking a chaga extract. Again, I'm not a doctor, so I can't tell you what to take and when to take it, but I can advise that it seems to be pretty darn evident that lion's mane and chaga are increasingly beneficial as we get older. So at the end of the day, I'm not here to say you need to take anything specific, but I am here to say that if we focus on our brain health, and if we focus on what makes us feel good now and truly feel healthy now, it's going to have an effect not only now, but 30 years down the road when we're trying to remember all the amazing things we did now. As always, keep it locked in here in my videos. If you have any questions, always feel free to comment. Always feel free to let me know what you want to see and how we can continue to get the most out of our lives, both mentally and physically. See you in the next video.